All right, hello, hello, hello. It's me, Sincerely George. Welcome to my show. I'm really excited today because I have an opportunity to talk to one of the big developers in our space. Big, I say big, he may say small, but I say big, and that is DevNullProd. Without further ado, because I want to keep this short, and let's focus in on what you do. So, Mo, can I call you Mo? Your name's Mo, right?
Absolutely. And I would say medium.
Mo,
Let's compromise.
Mo. It's a great
Medium.
name. So,
Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about how did you come up with Dev Null Prod, and what do you like? Who are you? Who's the man
Okay.
behind this?
I ask myself that every day. Okay. So Dev Null Productions is a startup that I launched a year and a half ago. I'm a software engineer by trade. I did my undergrad and my master's in computer engineering. After that, I had a very excellent run at Red Hat. I was a software engineer there for 12 years.
What does Red
Worked,
Hat do? Like, what is Red Hat all about? Some people might not
yeah,
know that.
yes, absolutely. Red Hat is an enterprise Linux company. So basically, their main product provides enterprise Linux support for a plethora of institutions, from US government agencies to major financial institutions and so on and so forth. There, I worked on many different technologies on the stack, from core operating system level services to cloud applications and everything in between.
Wow.
During my career there and in, in other roles, I was able to really kind of get hands-on experience with many different technologies under the sun. And it was in the early 2010s, around 2010, 2011, when I was involved with a local makerspace.
What's a
Uh,
makerspace?
a makerspace is a collaborative workspace where they have events.
Is that where I find a 3D printer? I think I know what you're talking about,
3D
right?
printing is a big thing in the makerspace scene for
Yes.
certain, as is radio, as is amateur radio, and many other technologies. Blockchain was, in the early days, one of the technologies that I would dare say very intertwined with the makerspace scene. I discovered about Bitcoin in 2011 and immediately became a fan. And over the years, I saw that many makerspaces across the world were very big proponents of this and were kind of contributors to this ecosystem.
Okay.
Over the years, I kind of stayed in touch with blockchain, but different blockchain technologies. But it wasn't until 2017 that I noticed major technologies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum just weren't scaling. That's when I discovered XRP and decided I wanted to be involved in it at a very grounds level.
So
Rest of history.
being in the maker space, you guys are hacking and whacking and putting things together and just trying things, right? Like that's really what maker spaces are a lot about, is trying and figuring out problems. It's not always about building the startup. It could
Yes.
launch into a startup, but it's like, wow, what could I do with this? So when you say it wasn't scaling, what were some of the challenges that you guys were running into that were telling you that maybe your WizDizzle whatever wouldn't scale and made you look for a different technology?
Yeah, absolutely. I myself was trying to send transactions through Bitcoin and Ethereum and have them taking hours to go through. Now, one of the biggest talking points or criticisms of XRP is the volatility.
Hmm.
But if you think about it, the volatility when you're exposed to a transaction that can take hours or days with the traditional banking system, you're exposed in a lot more. You're at risk a lot more than with an asset such as XRP, which settles in a few seconds.
Yeah.
So at the core level, the technology is really fundamentally an improvement upon the first generation of protocols that constitute the blockchain. Now, certainly, the technology is being built. We're building technologies on top of the XRP Ledger, as are many other companies, and so on and so forth. So, the coming years are going to see a real rapid growth in the types of solutions that are built on top of XRP, and we're really excited to be part of that.
Awesome. So thank you. you know a lot. That's all I have to say. You seem to know a lot. And so I'm wondering, I sent you some questions and you answered and you said, I asked, okay, well, what's the coolest thing that you've built? And after going and looking at it and stalking you on Twitter, I realized that,
Due diligence, remember, we have, it's due diligence, not stalking.
you're the second person to say that, but it sounds funner to say stalking because if you knew me, you'd know that I would not make a very good stalker. I'd be like, go on with yourself, go have some fun. I am busy. I'm busy working and building something over here. I'll come see you later.
Stalker that respects private, personal boundaries.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So, but most definitely. So you put forward XRP Intel, and I want to actually go there now. And my friend Danny Torres is going to love this because this is another misspelling. It's XRP1NTEL, but it's XRP Intel. And I'm showing it on the screen right now. So what is XRP Intel all about? How should people be using this? What do you hope people will do with this?
Absolutely. So one thing about blockchain is that it's a very exciting ecosystem, a very exciting sector, but there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of people trying to sell all sorts of products and services, which might not be legitimate and might not have a valid use case. When coming to XRP, we started thinking what needs to be in place to really fulfill the vision of the ecosystem, as well as to cut through the hype and to really deliver value to the end user. Data and analytics is one of the core aspects that needs to be in place for this whole thing to happen. And that's what we're doing today. So we've developed a custom in-house analytics system that follows the XRP Ledger and monitors and reports on activity both in real time and on a historical basis. By going to xrpintel.com, you can see all sorts of information from live transactions to an account directory to historical stats of usage, payment volumes, different types of currencies that are set through the network. Essentially, anything that's a traditional financial institution, an enthusiast, or anyone else that might be interested in using this technology, both for actual production, financial gain, as well as kind of from a hobbyist perspective, they can get value from xrpintel.com. It's essentially one of the tools in our suite that we've developed to bring value to the ecosystem and bring clarity to this market.
This is really cool. I'm out here. I'm on XRP Intel and I'm looking under ledgers, and I didn't know there was so much data. Like, I am not a ledger explorer. I'm like, it works great. But I'm looking at this ledger, and I've been out here before because I came and looked previously when you first gave it to me, but I have a ledger number here, and under it is 5 items, and under that is another, just a list of items that continue to dive deeper and deeper into the information. And you've got reports out here, and you're really driving into the data in a way. And the thing I love about this site is that it organizes the information in a way that's consumable, if that makes any sense, right? Like there's so much data, like I was just talking about with the ledgers, but you make it sortable, organizable, and color coded. It's very pretty. You guys make the information pretty too. Yeah.
Well, as we were talking earlier, sincerely, George, if technology isn't built for the human and with the end user in mind, it's not going to be used. No one is going to use technology that poses more problems than it solves. So that's the idea. We want to present the traffic on the network, the status of the network, and pretty much anything related to the network in a very easy to use manner. Now, this technology, like all other technologies in the ecosystem, is evolving. Be sure to check back in coming weeks and months for new features that we have in the domain of analytics, presenting the data, as well as exposing knowledge and information to new users, to users that might not be up to speed with the lingo very easily, so that they can come on board with little barriers.
No, that's really cool. So you based on what you're working on, you must work with a lot of developers. You must have the in with Ripple, right? Can you send them a letter and let them know that I really like them? Just let them know. I think they're really cool, really cool, really cool.
I mean, so That's an interesting way of putting it. And I agree and I disagree, actually. So we work with Ripple Labs engineers. If you go to our GitHub, if you go to Ripple D on GitHub, the main software project driving the Ripple Ledger, you will see contributions by Dev Null Productions, the startup that I'm involved with, to enhance and to build the next generation of the technology. This is really important for us. We want to be involved at the ground level. We want to be contributing to the standards so that it drives the ball forward, but also so that we stay in touch with what is going on in the ecosystem. This gives us a very unique competitive advantage that other analytics firms don't have. There are no patches, for example, by Chainalysis or any of our competitors versus who treat XRP as kind of a second-class citizen versus Bitcoin and Ethereum versus Dev Null Productions, who we believe that XRP is the standard going forward.
Awesome. So what is your biggest frustration when working with the XRP Ledger or working with, the tools that are put forward for the development community?
So before I answer that question, I just want to finish the last question.
Please.
We are independent of Ripple Labs, though.
Oh,
so
yes.
We don't have any financial ties or anything. And this is important for us because we want to maintain independent oversight in this ecosystem. When people come to us, we are able to say we do not have any conflicts of interest. We are reporting on what's happening on XRP Ledger from a neutral third party. Now,
I'm sure there's a lot of people kissing their screen right now, just going, "Oh, Mo, that Mo, mwah, 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 we appreciate you," right?
Well, the love goes all around, and back to the community. It has been one of the greatest communities that we've been involved with. People, the engineers, the marketing team at Ripple Labs, different community, contributors from developers to just proponents. The everyday mom and pop.
Get to the problems. Tell me, what's the biggest frustration with working with the XRP Ledger? Who cares about how great they are? I know they're great.
So, we've gone into the source code, at the ground level, as I said before, and we've been playing with the technology, and the technology is great. It scales, it performs marvelously, as, is quite evident for the last, several years. So at the technology level, we've seen no roadblocks. We've seen nothing that's going to prevent from this technology from being adopted as the next generation financial backbone. Now, the challenges, in our opinion, are kind of a regulatory and adoption. I mean, all cryptocurrencies have face this challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting the institutions on board, getting the gateways on board to provide the necessary.
When you say gateways, what do you mean by gateways?
Yes, absolutely. Good question. Gateways are the institutions which provide on-ramps and off-ramps to the XRP ledger. Essentially, they allow US dollars, euros, gold, anything to be exchanged on the internet of value and converted to and from actual assets in the real world. Okay. So getting those institutions on board is going to be a critical, drive, a critical thing that both Ripple Labs and the community are going to have to work on hand in hand, both to encourage good practices, both to support institutions that adopt these technologies, and so on and so forth.
So, I had another question here, and I think I'll circle back to it in a minute because you just leaned into one that I want to ask. So in regards to the XRP community or the average person in the XRP community, what can we do? You just finished mentioning some of the things that we can do to help potentially, get us there. But how do you think the XRP community, the non-technical part of the XRP community, can really help get us there other than sending memes? Because I love memes.
Sure. Everyone loves memes. Be vocal, be friendly, but be vocal. And this is actually important to do both online and offline. So I help run the New York City XRP meetup. We love to see everyone in the New York City area at that next event, which is going to be in November.
When's the event? Do you know?
We don't have an exact date. It's going to be around the mid-November timeframe. Okay. But certainly everyone in the tri-state area, everyone in New York City, they're welcome to attend. We're a very friendly, open group with individuals from many different backgrounds.
Awesome.
So yeah, go out there, be friendly, but be assertive. We have a solution that is solving a lot of problems. And when a favorite quote of mine is, if you're not making someone angry, you're not doing it right. So, don't worry. You're going to get pushback. You're going to get people from Bitcoin. You're going to get people from financial institutions saying, no, we don't believe this. Be friendly, be confident, but know that we have the de facto standard going forward, and it's time to share that with the world.
I agree with you. So another question. So where do you go for when you get stuck? Because as a developer on a new technology, you have extensive experience, Red Hat, undergrad, masters, lots of work experience, building stuff from the ground up, analyzing all this data and making it pretty. So when you get stuck, where do you go for help?
Yes, I go to you, George.
I wish I was that smart, really, honestly. But no, really, do you have a place where when you get stuck?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's many resources online. XRP Chat is the community forums that almost immediately after we posted any question, technical, economic, whatnot, people answer. People are very friendly and really, it's an approachable mechanism to use. XRPL.org, the Ripple Labs, the website, developer website, is a great resource. Certainly, if you're interested in data, XRP Intel is a good data resource. But Hodor and many other community members post a blog regularly. Those type of community engagement resources are very good as well.
Yes, you definitely need to use XRP Intel. There's so much information out here. It's amazing, right? Like it's really quite awesome. I think you'll have a lot more people to your site, and it's pretty. I like being able to see drag and drop and
Absolutely.
Play with the information.
A lot of the features that we've built have been input for the community. So I see, you just had the account directory up. That doesn't exist elsewhere, but that was a feature that someone said, hey, it would be great to have this, and we incorporated it into our website. There's a way to filter out transactions, deep inspect transactions using custom language, custom syntax. Again, these are tools that people have suggested to us, and we said, absolutely, we support, the community. We want to build things for the community, and here it is today.
So if there, I think a lot of great ideas, especially in the startup space, come from the people that are using your technology, right? Like that's where you can have a great idea in your mind, like, oh, we should build that. But a lot of times the most successful ones are the ones that end up coming from people that are actually using it. Hey, if I could see this, or if you were to morph it like that. So what's the best way to get ideas to you if somebody has it just needs to be out there. Everything will happen if it's out there. How should they contact you? Should they be using the website? What kind of information? There's a lot of non-technical people that they could have an idea, but thinking, oh, Mo is the smartest guy in the world. How could I ever talk to him? He'll never talk to me, right? How should they reach out? How should they format their stuff to sort of make it understandable or start that discussion with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, I will not ever approach anyone with a holier than thou attitude. I love talking these technologies, both to people who have the kind of the technical background as well as, people who don't. Send us a message on Twitter, either by a tweet or a direct message. Send us an email, devnullproductions@gmail.com. You can also find it on our website, if you will. Don't be shy. I would love to talk to you and hear your thoughts and your ideas.
Awesome. So I asked you some questions. I asked you what languages or tools that you love doing your development with, and I thought your response was awesome because it was Vim for life, baby. And I was like, oh goodness. So I have a question for you. So does this mean that you prefer to use Windows over Linux? Oh, look at that face. I got the face.
Oh my God. Click.
That's what I knew. I was going to say, please don't close the window if I ask a stupid question, but I wanted to see that face right there, right? Walked right into it. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I did. I should have seen it coming a mile away. I take the same philosophy with blockchain as I do with my programming tools and whatnot. The right tool for the job. With blockchain, I'm not a maximalist. I certainly believe that XRP, I'm betting on that XRP is going to be the standard going forward. I see it as being the closest solution to the ideals of the ecosystem. But with developer tools and technology is the same thing. I mean, use what is going to make you most productive. Certainly in the XRP ecosystem, the main client is written in JavaScript. Many different tools are written in JavaScript. So I would encourage new developers to play with that technology. The main Ripple server, the main XRP server, Ripple D, is written in C++. That technology has a bit higher boilerplate to kind of get on board with, but it's a very powerful tool, a very powerful language.
You do both, right?
What's that, sorry?
You do C++ and JavaScript and Java and everything else, and Python,
I have done a lot,
and Ruby,
yes.
and Rust, and
Exactly.
everything. He's just smart. He's just smart.
So,
yes, you're smart. I'm allowed to call you smart. You can do not argue with the interviewer. Not allowed. Don't do it.
I've learned
Don't
that
do
lesson.
Yes, we'll just put you down as smart. And you're not a maximalist, so stop over-explaining that. You'll use a Windows computer if necessary, but you may like others more every day.
Absolutely. I mean, I use Linux at home. Fedora Linux for life.
Just like everybody else, everybody just goes out and buys a Linux computer. Oh yeah, go into Best Buy. Let me go. Which one will run my Linux system best? I don't need any Windows over here.
They are if they're using Android.
I know. Very few people are yes. All right. So I asked you for a favorite quote as well. I actually asked you what other developers I should talk to. Please say the same thing over again. It gives me a wild card to go out there.
All of them.
Yes. I love it. So they know to expect me now.
Definitely.
All right.
Talk to Sincerely George.
That's right.
This is the live stream to be on.
I think so. I think there's a lot of non-technical people in our space, and thinking about what it takes to build this and the distance between the people that build this and the people that are non-technical. I want to shorten that because there's a lot of great ideas and a lot of misconceptions, and I think if we can bridge that, we'll go farther. So I want to wrap this up with a quote. I asked you what your favorite quote is, and I'm going to put it up on screen because I think this, when you sent it to me, it was that moment. So I'll probably read this badly, but as I read this, I want you to think about, how does this apply to you? Because I'm sure it does. So it is a Theodore Roosevelt quote, and it says, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles." Oh, whatever. I'm not reading this. I'm going to sound like an idiot in a minute. But it's a great, great, great quote. And I'm going to put it in the article that I put together. So help me understand, where does this tie into what you do? Why do you reference this when things get challenging? Or do you reference it when you're out yay?
Yeah, absolutely. A great quote. A little wordy, I agree, but very very much recommend that everyone read it and try to internalize it. Is essentially Theodore Roosevelt gave this during a presidential speech, and this was around the turn of the 20th century, 1900s to 2000, or excuse me, 1800s to 1900s. What am I talking about?
It's my fault. It's my fault.
I think it very much applies to this age as well. We live in an age of wondrous technology, right? I mean, we're communicating with people from across the world, and we're able to do things faster in ways which, was unfathomable in the past. But at the same time, there's a lot of criticism out there. There's a lot of people saying, no, this can't be done, or no, this can't be done. And whenever someone kind of puts themselves out there, they're going to encounter that. I mean, that's without fail. So, don't pay attention to that. Essentially, that, it's important to listen to criticism and to always be, trying to figure out how we can optimize our lives and how we can always be spending our time better and more productive ways. But at the same time, a lot of criticism is undue. So, make sure that you center yourself, you know who you are, you know what you believe in, and really work on things that have the most impact on the world and that benefit humanity, and tune out the noise.
I wish I lived closer to New York. This is like a meetup to come and hang out with great people like you is awesome. So
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
my day has been improved by meeting with you. You are fantastic. I'm so grateful that you're in this community. So do you have any final words before I just you know, endow you with, more like he's so smart comments, so before you
You're,
drop,
you're,
right?
you're too you're too kind, sincerely, George, and thank you for having me on. I hope that maybe we can do this regularly in the future.
I would love it. Yes. Anything that I can do to help bring visibility to what you're doing or, help get it out there, do not hesitate to ask. I really, helping get the word out there about what we're doing is part of what I am most interested in, or bringing people to you, like however I can help. You know what I mean? I seem off the wall, but I do make tinfoil hats, so I can make you one if you want, right? I have
Oh, that's
hats
great.
within
Does it have the brand on it?
I have hats within range here. I've got,
It's amazing.
you always have to be ready for the
Absolutely.
experience. Yes,
Absolutely. Ready for every contingency.
exactly.
Final thoughts. Drop us a line.
Okay.
DevNull.network is the website. DevNullProductions@gmail.com is the email. DevNullProd on Twitter. I love to talk to everyone, and even if it's just to say hi or to, I have this great idea, send me a message.
So the name, like most people aren't going to understand what Dev Null means. Can you explain it and just like really short? I want to keep the video short, but explain that because most people will not understand it. Letters are backwards. The word is
Of course.
backwards.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's a bit of a programming joke. Dev Null Productions is a registered LLC. We are registered in New York State. It's the business that we sign clients under, and so on and so forth. Dev Null is a special kind of file on your operating system that if you write to, it's kind of like a black hole, if you will. I mean, data just disappears. As a programmer, you would write to this file. Let's say if you have a log that you don't really care about, you can just write it and it's gone. It doesn't take up any disk space. It's gone. So to say that our software comes from Dev Null, it's kind of saying it comes from a black hole. It's kind of just a play on words, a joke, if you will. Hopefully memorable, and people remember it. Mission accomplished.
I think it's a great name, and I think that it really speaks to the software that you're creating because I think it provides foundational framework that other developers can build upon, that people in our community can utilize for whatever they're trying to figure out, and that industry, people that are crunching numbers and trying to really look at the data will be able to leverage going forward as well. So I think you and Dev Null Productions is a great addition to the XRP community. I'm very grateful you're here, you and your entire team. And again, if there's anything that I can help, branch out and spread out with the community, please let me know, because I think everybody in the community is here to support people like you. We want to see the adoption of solutions like the ones that you're creating. So, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here for you. Yes. And I think people will show up at your meetup now that we know about it. And yes, I will make sure that I put these different contact points in. I'm going to leave the email off, but they will reach out via Twitter or your website or whatever. But I don't want anybody going out and then, you get a bunch of garbage. We want you to get good mail. So
I understand.
yes.
I appreciate it.
Yes, most definitely. But I appreciate you, taking the time to meet with me. I know that you've had a full day and it's evening. And I was like, I'm late. And you're like, it's okay. I know other people that have been late before, but
Well,
yes,
it's morning and afternoon somewhere.
it
So
is.
we live in an international world.
Exactly. But I've had a great time meeting with you and I really appreciate it. So with that, Definitely follow Dev Null Productions, and I will drop a link for it. This was a great video. If you have any questions, any technical information that you want to better understand, want to dig into the information that is provided on the site, or have an idea on what could be added, definitely reach out. There's no question that's too small or not valid, and where possible, they will help you out. So, Mo, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Take care.